All right, Dylan, today we want to work on glove projection. Great skill for goaltenders to have of all ages. You playing at the OHL junior hockey, you live and die by it because guys can shoot the puck so well. So let's break down what it is. Let's have you drop in your butterfly right here, Dylan. Now, a lot of times when the puck presents itself where a guy's either at a pop-out rebound or he's deked you, in the past, a lot of times what goalies would do, they'd move their pad and their glove would end up back being here equal with their body. Now, the problem with that is we leave a lot of aerial angle from about here to there. That puck can still go in. So what smart goalies have done over time is move the glove forward to try to cut down the angle. Now, we can do that either up on our feet or even on our butterfly, but right now we want to get that palm as square to the puck as possible. And a key thing we've got to be careful of when we're doing this, when we glove project, we don't want to create holes. So if we take an imaginary line from this puck to his pad, he wants to stay on that line, so there's no room between his glove and the pad. If he glove projects here, we might be able to sneak that in underneath his glove. And likewise, if you put it down here, you're covering the same area that's covered by your pad, and you're not really taking care of that aerial angle. So let's try a couple here. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to start the puck here, square up to me, and I'm going to pull the puck to the side, try to elevate it over you. So just to do a little pivot with a glove projection and try to stop this, okay? Bring your whole body over if you can. If you can, try to activate that right foot and sort of do like a push, so you're bringing your whole body over and glove projecting at the same time. Here we go. And the best thing about this, Dylan, is we can edit out all the shit and put the good stuff in, baby. Okay, two more. Last one. Nice. So, Dylan, just like on the other side, historically what goaltenders have done is they've reached their foot and they've brought their blocker back equal with their body. But what we know now is we can project the blocker forward just like with the glove and smother the puck. The same thing applies though. Look at this. We got a line from this puck to this glove, and we want to try to jam that blocker right along that line. If we come down here too low, there might be some room to get it over. And likewise, if when we're doing this, we're up high or out too far, we create holes where the goalie's gotten in good position, but they've created holes that allowed the goal to go in. So let's see how you do here, managing your glove projection on the blocker side. One thing to bear in mind too, stick discipline means keeping your stick in the 5-hole. So put your stick in the 5-hole. But once the puck migrates past your 5-hole, you don't need to worry about coverage back there anymore. So now you can get the blocker involved, and we're not worried about stick being disciplined in the 5-hole, because there's no way I can score through the 5-hole once I've pulled it laterally. So let's see glove projection here. Here we go. Three more. Two more. Nice. Last one. Beautiful. Good job, Dylan. All righty.
Be interested to see what you think of Andrew Oakes playing today. So he's the draft eligible goalie.
What's his size and all that?
He's 6'1". Kind of your definition, a little bit of asses and elbows a little bit, you know, but he's very athletic, very technically sound, but he's gotten way better with being so athletic and gotten a little bit more technical. So it's kind of a mixture of both, but
nice.
He's
coachable kid too?
Very coachable kid. He's one of those guys that shows up every day, first one in, last one out, does his time, puts in the time at the gym, does extra time outside, always asking to do film, watch NHL, watch his film. Like, makes my job real easy. You got someone that wants to do it, you know.
So I know when I first met you way back in the day, you'd always wanted to become an OHL coach. You'd done the stuff at Division I at Alabama, Huntsville, and now you're coaching the OHL. And I would presume eventually you'll be coaching the NHL, but right now, what would you say is the most eye-opening thing about being an OHL goalie coach with respect to the actual duties of the job?
Yeah, I would say the most eye-opening thing for me would be just the amount of time you have to spend with, well, the amount of time you spend with the team, but just the aspect of, you got to deal with injuries. You have to manage your time. It's not something where you just show up and practice. There's more to it. You have to know, okay, maybe today I'm getting 30 minutes of ice. Maybe today they only need 20 minutes of ice, and kind of pick and choose when you work on things, because your schedule is so hectic. You're traveling all the time. You have to allow time for rest. You're not always going full throttle every single day. So the biggest thing I learned is managing when you work on certain details, and certain days you want them to feel good, so you work on a certain skill, but other days you really hammer in the things they need to work on. So that's, time management is a huge thing, especially in this league. You play so many games, you're traveling, you're all over the place. So that's been a big eye-opening thing for me. Is I never realized that until I got into the league. That's a big thing.
Yeah, when I was coaching in the NHL, the Leafs, we didn't have a system of coaches working on the goalies. The whole goalie department, it was me.
Right.
So we had the farm team initially in St. John, Newfoundland. I was out there every month. Then it moved to the Marlies. We had the responsibilities with the East Coast affiliate, Pensacola, and then scouting. So you're on the road like 240 days a year,
Right.
always ready for getting stuff ready for the next year. Now, how did you find the job as far as, do they have you scouting? Are you networking with your team scouts? How do you decide how the scouting process is going to be for
Yeah,
forward?
so the way it's been going with our team right now is our general manager will send me a list of goalies that they have their eye on, that their head scout and everybody through Canada. Me being with the team all the time, I don't have time to go find the goalies myself, so we have a dedicated team of scouts that go and identify these players in all these different leagues throughout Canada and the United States. Then I get sent a list, for the most part, of guys that they're eyeing, usually a top 10 or 15 goalies. And then my role in that is I take the time and go through every single game. I go and watch, highlights. I watch full games. I watch partial games. I try to consume as much film as I possibly can. And then I create a ranking system of my own. I send that to the general manager, and then he sends that to the scout. And then throughout the year, we collaborate, go back and forth on, how did he look today? How did this game? So they keep tabs on the list that I have, but they're also coming to their own conclusion to kind of give the general manager the best choice to make. At the end of the day, he has to make that decision who they want to take based on what's best for the team. So I kind of look at my job as give him the most information he can to make that decision, and go from there.
So the elephant in the room, obviously, nowadays in hockey, is where the height factors into the decision process, because we want to get great goaltending. I think Mitch Korn probably summed it up best when I asked him about scouting what he's doing with the Islanders now, and he says we want to get the biggest, best goalie we can find.
Yeah.
And so how do you find that in your interaction with the general manager and coaching staff and stuff, of the height? Where does that fit into the decision process?
Well, it's a common theme that goes through a lot of teams in the league. Everybody wants the big guy, and there's no secret about it. You look at the NHL goalies, and if you can find someone that has all the technical aspects of a smaller size goalie, but they have the size that goes with it, obviously people are going to be more drawn to that. And there's more coverage in the net. The skill of the players that in this league, like you have to take up as much net as possible. So for us, it's a fine song and dance. Like, you don't want a big lanky goalie that can't move.
Play.
Yeah, exactly. You want someone that's athletic, that can still move in the net and still be able to get across and get there on their feet and be athletic for second saves. But you also want someone that will take up a lot of that and compete every day. So it's a fine song and dance of trying to find someone, but size is definitely a factor. I know I look for that. UC Saros and all these guys, they're great. They're anomalies in the league, and they're fun to watch. And by no means does that mean that a smaller goalie can't make it, but it makes our job easier. You can't teach the size of a goalie. I can teach the technical side, but I can't teach someone to be 6'5", 6'6". So, and those kids are hard to find too. It's not like everybody's 6'6" and 6'5", but it makes our job a little easier if you do have something a little bigger.
No question about it. And I think it's a good thing for young kids to understand what the lay of the land is.
Yeah.
And like with anything, it's an uncontrollable your height. So
Right.
you don't need to wrap your mind out worried about whether I'm going to be tall enough or not. Control the stuff you can. Like
Right.
with Saros, super athletic, manages his depth to mitigate the size, plays a strong athletic game. And I think if you're going to be smaller, your athletics and your skill, skating, transition, all that stuff has got to be impeccable. And all things being equal, they're always going to take the bigger kid if everything's equal.
Yeah.
Keys just don't make it equal. Be
Right.
better than the big kid.
Right. Yeah, you have to do something exceptionally well at that size. If you're going to be a little bit on the smaller side, doesn't mean you can't do it, but you have to do things exceptionally well in order to continue to climb the ladder. It's sometimes it's not fair, but you have to, these big guys that we go after, it's not that they're not good. They have just as much skill as the smaller guys.
Exactly.
But like you said, if it's an equal playing field and everything's equal, but I have someone that's a little bit bigger than the other guy, of course I'm going to take up the guy that takes up the net. So
Over the years that I've known you, I think you've probably heard me talk about something called proportional training, where you basically should be training an athlete, in my estimation, to address the proportion that they're going to need it in a game. And at the highest levels in the OHL, NHL, those shots come so fast. There's very minimal reaction time once it gets in below the top of the dots. You're reading the play, and you have a reaction of position as opposed to reaction of trajectory of the puck. And this is why a lot of times I believe younger kids fall in love with ideas like VR goggles and stuff, which may help you with tracking and watching the puck, etc. But if only 1 or 2 pucks in the game give you time to react out of 10, I think 80% of your job is the other stuff. Like, what's your opinion on the goalie's job with respect to spending time on VR goggles versus in the gym, working on his puck handling, working on his power skating recovery? How do you address that with your athletes?
Well, I think, right now I take the approach of whatever helps you is what I'm all for. I have the things that I work on, but a lot of what I do is basic. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're not doing anything I'm not getting toys out on the ice. I'm not doing all these things. We're trying to make things as simple as possible and work on certain skills. Sometimes I find personally that toys sometimes can complicate things. And, if you want to do that on your own time, I'm all for it. Whatever helps you get to the same conclusion that I'm trying to get you to, I'm all for it. I have no problem with it. But I personally, like, when we have limited time, I might have 30, 20 minutes on the ice with the goalie, so I'm not getting out different goggles and all these different toys. And that's more to me an off-season things, where if you want that little bit of extra time spent with those things, they have their benefits, and I can see just the science of it. It's fascinating. I think it's really cool, especially with what VR technology is going to today. Like, I think it's great, but personally during the season, it's just not practical because we don't have the time. We don't have the resources to do that every single day. You're constantly on the go. You constantly have to manage your time. So more of an off-season thing personally for me, and that's how I approach it. But I got no problem with it. I think it's whatever floats your boat, right?
Yeah, I think that's very valuable insight. The other thing, when we're scouting, we're really trying to drill into the character and the attitude of the kid. And there's nothing worse when you're coaching a goalie where he gives you the funny look, like, why am I listening to you? Or my goalie coach said this and that. So I always tell every athlete, like, when you move up the ranks, you're going to have a lot of different goalie coaches. And to be married to just one limits you in many different levels. So addressing the character and attitude thing as a scout, as a coach at the OHL level, how important is that, and how do you really identify whether the kid's got that?
I think that's one of the first things when the scouts ask me, what do you look for in the goalie? That's one of the top 2-3 things that I tell them. When you interview the kid, does he seem like it's all about him? Does he make it seem like he's hard to work with? Because, on the flip side, I also have a job to do. I have to spend every single day with this kid. I have to go on the ice with him and be on the bus with him all the time. So if it's more of a conflicting relationship, I'm not going to want to work with this person because, I want people that want to learn. I want people that want to ask questions. And, by no means have I ever been a goalie coach that says you can't work with this person. I get jealous that you're working with him or don't want you to be around this person. No, by no means. Like, you're going to have many goalie coaches. You taught me that at a very young age when I first started coaching. It doesn't matter who you work with. It's a matter of what the kid wants. So, sometimes hearing it from other people is a good thing. we all speak the same language to an extent.
Yeah.
But you have to be coachable. You have to be able to pick up what a coach is saying and take with it what you want. And if you don't agree with it, then be a professional, and maybe you take bits and pieces of it. Maybe that's what it takes to help and better your game. It doesn't have to be always 100% what that goalie coach says. And I've always taken the approach that I tell a lot of my goalies this: I throw everything out on the table and we work with what works best for you in your game, and what works best for this goalie might not work for this goalie. But my job is to lay it all on the table, explain the pros and cons of certain situations, and then you take with that what you want. And I think that's being coachable is a huge part of that. If you don't have that and you don't understand how to listen to other people, you'll never make it to the highest level, because when you get to that level, when you're making millions of dollars, and you think you know it all, it's usually a rude awakening every single time. So
yeah, that's definitely pretty easy to identify with kids when you're scouting, because you can tell if they're putting on the act and saying the right things. And I've always believed that we're teaching kids to have a level of discernment. So you're going to have, say, 5 goalie coaches in your life, and you might pull 5 things from this guy, 5 things from that thing.
Right.
And the one goalie coach I had in Junior B, Teddy Womet, he would tell me 100 things. 95 were stupid. 5 I used when I played in the NHL, and he ended up coaching a little mug-eyed goalie from the Bronx, New York, named Mitch Korn at K&M Hockey School.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing that I always bring up to people. Between Teddy to Mitch to me to you, this little network of goalie coaches and scouts and people in hockey, everybody knows everybody. So I always telling kids, you better be careful with how you carry yourself in front of anybody, because we all know one phone call, it could open a door for you, or close a door for you.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how many times, even in my time in AAA hockey, how many times I've gotten phone calls from, it's not always OHL guys, it's North American League, it's USHL, it's all the higher leagues that all the kids want to go to. How many calls I get, and the first thing they talk about is he a good person? Does he listen? Is he coachable? And that's said everywhere we go. So you're right. I mean, we all know each other. We all have our certain ways of saying things, but throughout my career, I know I've picked up little things from every goalie coach that I've worked for to help me be a better coach and person. So why wouldn't you want to listen to as many people as you could, and then come to your own conclusion? At the end of the day, like I said, it's sometimes goalies play the way they play, and what works for someone doesn't work for somebody else. And it's also part of life too. Like, it's not always going to be cut and dry, whatever one person says goes. So you have to be coachable. So
we look at the NHL, and currently right now, the one kid I coached when he was younger, I haven't coached him in the past couple of years, but goaltender with the Toronto Maple Leafs, Jack Campbell, both him and Mrazek are currently having a little fluff in the schedule. They're not doing their best, and that's just the way hockey is. It's ups and downs. And Mitch always used to talk about keeping the highs from being too high and the lows being too low. But when you have an athlete in the OHL that's going through a period of struggle, as a coach, how do you approach that when you got a kid that's not playing up to their best?
Well, for me, it's a lot of staying positive, like bringing a positive environment every day at practice. Me personally, I like to show up and every days I try to make it as normal and as routine as they can. So no matter if they get shelled 8-0 or if they have a shutout, you're getting the same coach every single day when they show up, and having that consistency and having a positive attitude, and maybe just managing what we work on that day to make them feel good and have confidence. Confidence, I feel, is a major part of the battle with goaltending. If you have that confidence and you feel good, and even on bad days, if you still feel confident about yourself, that's half the battle. But if they're going through a struggle, you just keep it positive, keep it light, keep it fun. At the end of the day, I try to provide them with some perspective too. You're in the OHL, you're having fun, you're with your buddies. This is a great league. Thousands of fans show up every day to watch you play. It's a lot of pressure, and with that, it's a privilege to have scouts look at you and fans pay to play to pay to see you play. But at the end of the day, you have to have some perspective that you're gonna go home, you're gonna sleep in your bed, you have your mom and dad, and you have your friends and family, and you're in this league. There's more to life than hockey sometimes. So having perspective helps as well, and I try to give them that as much as I can, and just create a good environment and be there for them. Ask how they're doing and talk to them as much as you can. You got to relate to the goalies as well. So
I think that's the key piece. You have to have a relationship of trust.
Yes.
And that was one of the first things that came to the forefront with Belfour. We trusted each other, and that's where he knows I'm trying to help him. He never said a crossword to me because he knows I was trying to extend his career and teach him some things he hadn't gotten a hold of yet. But I think the other thing, when you're working with an athlete, when they trust you, I think that's when you're going to get the most out of them. And that's when you're going to get the most growth. You're going to have bad times, you're going to have great times, but you know, every goalie coach has a different style. Like in my case, you know, I'd watch a game in the NHL and, you know, the goalie might have pooped his pants on 2 or 3 goals. I'm not in there between the intermissions trying to change stuff. I'm not in there after the game when the emotion levels are high. This the next day, calm, cool. What do you think happened, or what can we do differently on that goal? And I think as a goalie coach, your approach and how you lead them to the answer is in many cases more important than knowing what the answer is. So as your style of goalie coach, are you a guy that likes to go in intermission to make some in-game corrections, after-game corrections? Because, you know, that's individual coaching decisions. How do you do it?
The way I handle it is during game days, I honestly don't speak to the goalies. I let them do their thing. I think for me personally, the practice time and the work that we put in should give you confidence to go in the game and execute. Game time is when you execute the game plan that we've worked on all week in practice. And the last thing I want to do is feed a goalie with any sort of extra thoughts or overthinking. When a goalie plays, I don't want a goalie to think. I want him to go out and trust the training that he's gotten and the time and the work that he's put in and feel confident with that. So the only thing he has to do is go out there and execute. So me personally, that's how I approach it during games. And practice time is when you break down that film, you get critical, you hold them accountable. But during games is not the time where, you know, I go in there and I start filling their head with, oh, you got to do this, you got to do this. To me, it's just never been the time to do that. And I let the goalies kind of do their thing on game day. And, you know, they're creatures of habit too. They like to prepare a certain way and put their pads on a certain way. And the last thing you want to do is get them out of that routine. The most I will ever say is if I'm noticing a pattern when I'm sitting upstairs watching the game of a certain play that the team is running, I might very quickly pull them out of the locker room, draw it on the board real quick, and just say, you have to be aware of what's going on, and leave it at that and walk out of the room. So, you know, that's how I approach it at game days.
Smart. So at the highest levels, whether it's OHL, Division I, NHL, puck possession is massive, and you know, whether that takes the form of pristine rebound control, or my next question is related to puck handling, and it's a huge asset when you have a kid that can handle the puck and be active and maintain possession with the team. So at the OHL level, how do the head coaching, assistant coaching, and you get together to come up with a puck handling format of what's expected in a contested dump in, uncontested dump in? How do you guys manage the puck handling game with your goalies?
Well, it all starts from our head coach. Right out the gate, that's one thing I noticed when I first joined our team in this league. You know, usually before it was on me at the AAA level to kind of dictate how the goalies handle the puck, but at this level, it comes from the head coach. Our style of play, the way we play, it all comes from the head coach, and from there he kind of explains how we break the puck out. We have 8 or 9 different types of breakouts that we work on, so it's not it's more of a complicated situation for goalies, and you have to know what you're doing and what's expected of them. So that's communicated with me, and then from there I come up with a game plan of how do we work on this in practice to make them more effective puck handlers. And a lot of it's simple. I mean, it's
very
not
simple.
It's not shooting pucks at the red line or making, you know, plays. A lot of those plays that if a goalie's making a big long pass to the winger on the wall or making a long stretch pass, those are moments in a game where things break down and things open up and it's a quick reactionary play, and then I'm making that play. But a lot of our puck handling is either leave the puck or make that spread over to the either D or hit the low center swinging. So it's very short 5-foot, 6-foot passes, but if you're not accurate with those passes and you're not hitting the stick on the breakout, you're going to have a problem breaking the puck out of the zone. And that's what we try to work on is keeping it simple and making those quick plays. And that's how we work on puck handling, but it comes from the top down, really.
Right. I've always agreed with goaltending that it shouldn't be flashy and it shouldn't be about you. So it shouldn't be like Mike Smith, where it seems to me like it's, hey, watch this, I'm going to fire it here, hey, and it becomes sort of like his badge of honor that he's the guy that's going to lead the charges with the puck handling. And I always take the opposite approach. I want you to be like the way they evaluate a referee. When a referee said a great game, what do they say? Didn't even know the referee was out there. There was no controversy. There was no drama. Just a clean, quick game.
Right.
Things got left, and things that needed to get called. And as a puck handling goalie, if you're boring, safe, and simple, and you keep in possession with your team, your life's a lot easier. Yes, the quick ups are nice from time to time, but I also say the majority of times in those quick ups, the majority of times, the guy's a man on an island when he catches the pass. He's got no puck support, and he ends up just doing a little chip into the corner and surrendering possession. Once in a while it works, and a smart goalie knows when to sort of hold that back in reserve, observe lazy line changes, and then when the time comes to hump it up, you got them with their pants down.
Yeah.
And I think the best puck handling is what you're saying is safe, simple 5, 8, 10-foot passes, direct passes, flat on the tape. Guy gets the puck out. Selfishly, your goals against goes down if you're a good puck handler.
Right. Well, I think the major thing with puck handling that I work on is it's not even we work on the passing aspect of making those simple plays, but I spend more time working on taking initial looks as the puck's getting wrapped around the boards. I mean, we do puck handling every day. I build it into what we do with the goalies. The main thing we work on with that is taking that initial look and then taking that second look. And a lot of times when you have a guy barreling full speed at you into a zone, it's tough to make those reads. And at this level, you got fans going, there's a lot of commotion going on. If you don't take that second look, a lot of times a guy will be right on top of you, or they'll take away an option for you, and then you panic and don't know what to do, forces you to cough it up the wall, and then you make a bad play and a bad read. So a lot of times we work on the vision aspect of it, taking that initial look as the puck's coming around, taking that secondary look, making sure the option that you initially pointed out is still there, and if not, do I have to make a quick decision, or what are my options? Do I have to move it to the opposite side? Is the center open? Is the high winger open? What are my options? So we spend more time on taking those looks than we actually do the puck handling aspect of it.
The cognitive and the reads.
Right.
I think I've used an example in the past is related to the NFL. So, Rick, if I threw you under center as a quarterback for the New England Patriots right now, and I said, okay, hut, and you're trying to find some open receivers and guys in your face and the drama and the speed, it'd be like a fire drill.
Right.
And then, when you're in the NFL for 12 years, things slow down. You see who's the best option, who your look-off option is if you got another one, who's the release valve. If everything goes crazy, I don't know what to do, there's no communication, I got a little chip off the glass to buy space to get back. I think that's the similar thing that I see with goaltenders.
Yeah.
Once you have a technical ability to pass, stop rims, etc., it becomes, can I read the play? And a huge component of that is the communication and the verbalization between them and the defense. So on that topic, how is the communication boiled down? Is it simple words? What's the communication decision making?
A lot of it's one syllable words. I mean, the quicker you can get that command out and to have the goal and communicate that with the goalie, the quicker he's going to be able to make those reads like you're saying and be able to move that puck quickly. It's all about how quickly can I get the puck into the hands of the defenseman so we can quickly break it out and get out of our defensive zone as quickly as possible. So as simple as we can make it is how we try to make it.
So we're just about to the restaurant here in about the next couple of minutes. So I wanted to finish with a couple questions.
Sure.
So you've been around goalie coaches, you've been around hockey, you've been around the OHL, you've seen NHL guy, you've been around it all. Now, if little Ricky Ice could go back to being that 10-year-old goalie again, knowing what you know now, what are the 3 things that you would, hell or high water, make sure you change? 3 things you change knowing what you know now.
Well, I definitely would have stopped eating McDonald's as much as I did. That'd be one thing. I sure love my Big Macs, that's for sure. But I would say, for me, it would be study the game. I think later in my career, one of the big things, I didn't have access to film like you do nowadays. So, watching my game tape, watching more of the NHL. When you're playing in as a kid, you're a fan of the NHL, but you don't really pay attention to what the pros do. You watch to see who wins and loses, and you root for the team.
You're a fan.
Yeah, exactly. But to really have a passion for goaltending, you have to understand what the pros do and watch how they do things. So I think spending more time watching that film, that's one thing for me. And I think the other thing is just dedicating the time in the gym. Like it's everybody says it, but taking that time to really understanding your body and what works for you, building that into your routine and really making it a lifestyle. It's not just You know, it's not everybody's favorite thing to do, but that is a separator for a lot of kids. If you can dedicate your time and have an understanding of not only lifting weights and building muscle, like sure, look good on the beach, whatever, but to understand pliability, to understand how to keep myself flexible and really build a routine. I never really had a routine, and that's probably why I didn't play at a high level when I played, but I more so went out there and had fun and played and competed. But the competition was always in me. But if I would have taken those extra steps, maybe that would have helped my compete at a higher level. But that's the couple things for me, at least, that if I could go back, that's definitely what I would change, those couple things.
It's great to do the introspection now, and I think as coaches, like, we all look back at what we did as an athlete,
Sure.
knowing now, yeah, I would do that differently.
Right.
And I think that's even any adult.
Yeah.
So now, changing topics, we're in beautiful Grand Bend, my favorite place on the planet.
Oh, that's nice.
It's like a mini Fort Lauderdale.
This is cool.
It's got a population of 800 during the winter. In the summer, 30,000. Mitt Romney, got a big cottage down the street here.
Cool.
There's a bunch of Americans have bought property over here over the years, and this is a massive beach that's filled to the rafters all summer long. And as a kid living half an hour from here, I spent every single chance I had up here, and there's exotic cars driving around.
Yeah. This is my first time here. This is actually really nice.
And it's a beautiful setup. I'll give you a quick little tour down here.
Yeah.
This is the inlet where the fishing boats come in, and great place to grow, to be so close to home.
Oh, yeah.
And we're doing a big prospect camp this summer with all my high-end goalies, college, junior, etc. And the hotel down the street here is going to be housing the kids. And
that's going to be fun.
so they got a half an hour drive to get to the rink in the morning, and then they get to hang out here at the beach, like a mini Fort Lauderdale.
Doesn't get much better than that.
And I would hope the snow and ice will be gone by,
Yeah,
by
I'm sure
July.
it will.
But
I mean, it even looks good in the wintertime here,
Yeah,
looking at all this. It
it's-
looks like a good spot.
and you're from Michigan, so there's a lot of these little
Oh,
towns
yeah.
over there in Michigan, but there's nothing like a beach community. And that's one thing I think joins us together as Americans and Canadians. Most of us live around the Great Lakes,
Yep.
and we've had similar experiences. And that's one thing in today's world I just love, that the majority of the world can come together no matter what country you're in, except for one, and realize we're all in this together.
That's right. Absolutely, we are. And it's good to be able to, we haven't gotten together in a couple years. So
Because of this, yeah.
Right, exactly. I was telling you when I first got here, I haven't been here since 2019 of August. So I'm thankful that we're able to open up the borders, get together again. It's nice to have it, to be together and to be able to cross and get together, you know.
Well, you got a big game tonight in the OHL, Saginaw versus Sarnia Sting, and looking forward to go catch that in action. The Sting have a great goaltender in the Benny Goudreau.
Oh yeah, he's very
Big kid,
talented.
definitely has a great chance to play in the NHL, and your goaltender is going to be great tonight, so I'm excited to see that game. So let's get a bite to eat.
Yeah, absolutely.